If a storm knocks out power, many people rely on a gas-powered generator to keep their lights, refrigerators, and freezers running. We have with us today Jake Robbie from Robbie Hardware, and let's talk a little bit about generator safety in general. What are some of the dangers that people need to be aware of?
Well, I think, Megan, the biggest thing is carbon monoxide, is obviously a silent killer, not to mention, improper maintenance with a generator. Dealing with it in in the middle of a rainstorm or something too can be a hazard to the customer. What we like to see is a generator that's put away from the home, not ran in a garage, not ran under a porch to where there's doors and windows there where carbon monoxide could enter the home. Not to mention they should have a carbon monoxide detector in the home in the event that anything was cycling in. If a window's open, these things can produce carbon monoxide, which can really hurt the homeowner.
Right, and I know that risk of electric shock is a big one, and also fire hazard.
Yeah, another big mistake homeowners make is refilling a generator while it's hot and running. Quite often they overflow and they can catch fire. So a generator should be completely shut down and the muffler cool before you add fuel to it and before starting it.
Is it possible to overload a generator, and is that dangerous to do?
Well, there's safeties built into most all generators, that they're not going to allow it to exceed the ampacity of the generator based on its size. The biggest thing for a homeowner is to not plug in too many appliances, get by with the things that you want, or get a whole home interconnection system.
Does that require a professional to assess what are my needs, what size do I need?
I think the biggest thing a homeowner needs to assess when buying a generator is what are the have-tos. The sump pump, is that a must? Refrigerators, freezers, of course, you want TV, at least lights in one room. If a person adds up all of the watts that they need and then buy a generator according to the amount of energy that they require is the best way to size a generator.
So really, it is good to have a professional involved to help you assess those things.
Absolutely.
How about general maintenance for people that already have a generator?
That's another mistake that a homeowner generally does is in a storm situation, they buy a new generator. When the storm's over with and the power is restored, it goes into the garage and kind of forgotten about. And it doesn't get pulled out for a year, 2 years, 5 years, and it does not run. A generator should have the oil changed in it immediately upon the storm being over with or the power outage being done. Should treat the gas and really pull it out of the garage once a month or every other month and actually start it, run the engine, lubricates the engine, as well as keeps the fuel fresh.
Something else that we're talking about in this episode is home alarms and things like that, CO2 alarms and fire alarms, and it's no different than that, right? You have to remind yourself to take care of it.
Absolutely, and that can be done, when you change your smoke alarm batteries. We should also take a look at that generator to make sure that it's ready the next time it's needed.
Now, obviously, this has been professionally installed. Is there anything about installation that we need to know about?
Most commonly, people will just take regular drop cords and run to them appliances and plug them in, but they don't really have a good way to get the cord through the door and into the home. Well, then the door's cracked and we don't want carbon monoxide. So this is actually the safest setup to where this main breaker can be shut off. This then comes up and here's my generator breaker right here.
So you can't flip that unless it's off.
That's absolutely right. So we don't have to worry about any backfeeding onto the grid, which is a huge liability.
Great. How much does it cost for something like this?
Something like this can run as little as $400 to $700.
That's a pretty good investment for people that already have generators to consider maybe a safer measure and way of doing things.
Yeah, and you don't want to accept that liability of powering that line and hurting somebody that's out there trying to fix the lines.
Well, we appreciate all this great information, and I'm going to toss to Pete, who's going to talk even more about backfeeding.
Thanks, Megan. Backfeeding is a hazard that occurs if you try to power the whole house wiring by plugging a portable generator into a wall outlet or by connecting it directly to your home's electrical panel. The textbook definition of backfeeding is a flow of electric energy in the reverse direction of a circuit's design, from the circuit to the source. Installed generators have an automatic or manual transfer switch that makes sure that electricity flows only one direction from only one source, either the power grid or, when that's down, the generator. When the circuit that connects your house to the power grid is not shut off or bypassed via a transfer switch when using a portable generator, it's possible that the generator can send power backwards, backfeed it into the power lines and re-energize them. This unexpected energy flow could harm or electrocute people trying to repair what they think is a de-energized line. Also, if the power comes back on while the generator is still operating, 2 power sources are then connected to your home circuit, which strains the generator and the electrical panel, causing overheating and potentially a fire. Your home, your neighbors, and utility workers are all put at risk in a backfeeding situation. A transfer switch is the only way to safely power a full home circuit, and those need to be installed by a trained professional. A transfer switch is an electrical switch that switches a load between 2 sources. To safely operate a portable generator, you should plug the items you want to power directly into the generator with a properly rated extension cord. It's the safe way to generate temporary power for essential appliances and fixtures in your PowerHouse.